Real quick before we get into today's video, just want to thank the people over on Patreon who have taken the time out to help support the channel, and just got to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your support. What I'm going to start doing in the future is for every episode review and chapter review, I'm just going to start listing the names of the men and women who help support the channel on Patreon, as well as once I start offering memberships and figure out what to offer for memberships on this channel, I'll start adding the names of YouTube members as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review. Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys a review for Boruto episode 168. And now that episode 168 is done and in the books, I can't wait to read the responses, because this is something people have been clamoring for a very long time, which is Boruto and Sarada actually undergoing a training arc, and we get to see them actually struggling when it comes to learning how to enhance their abilities. And I gotta say, for me, this episode made me pop for a reason completely different than 95% of everybody that watched the episode. So it wasn't, oh, Kakashi gets to train his mentor's grandson. It isn't a situation like that. What got me to pop was the fact that Boruto added a wind changing chakra nature, and the reason why that made me pop is you gotta be an OG fan for this reference right here. The reason why this made me pop is if you go back to when Boruto's vanishing Rasengan was first introduced to us in 2015. So this is before the anime. Back in 2015, the vanishing Rasengan was a wind changing chakra nature jutsu. So the anime changed that to a lightning changing chakra nature. That was something that I covered over on Kryptonian Saiyan, my first channel, once that change was done. And so for them to kind of come back full circle and have Boruto incorporating a wind release chakra nature into his Rasengan, that made me pop, because it's like, wait a second, they're taking it back to what they originally envisioned for Boruto. Now, it wasn't necessarily the vanishing Rasengan in this, it's more of just an updated version of the wind release Rasengan, which, just as a side note, like I've talked about in my video, every Rasengan ever, there are different variations of wind release Rasengans. A lot of people just jump to, well, wind release Rasengan is the Rasen Shuriken. No, that's not quite it. If you want more information on that, I recommend checking out my video, every Rasengan ever. But for me, that made me pop just to see that right there. Now, another thing is I also pop because, as you guys know, I do quite a few videos in advance. I just spread them out. I don't give you guys the videos as soon as I get them done. I meticulously plan the release schedule for my videos, and I bring that up to say one of the videos I have this week is talking about the importance of adding changing chakra form to any type of attack that ultimately takes down Deepa, and it's kind of building on what I said as far as with somebody using fire release to take down Deepa. So obviously that's not gonna be Boruto, and I address the whole thing. Oh, well, Boruto doesn't have a fire changing chakra nature. Why are you jumping to this conclusion? I already addressed that in a video coming up, because there's a few things people overlook on that, but I'm not gonna get into that on the actual review. I love the fact that Kakashi breaks everything down, and it made me pop because that's something I'm going to talk about in detail on a different video later this week. And that's why I asked you guys in the poll question late last night. I said, are you okay with me doing more anime related discussions? The reason why I enjoy what Kakashi did when Kakashi breaks down for Boruto and says, like, hey, you know, this is a change in chakra nature, this is a change in chakra form, because a lot of people overlook the stuff that was told to us in the Shippuden era of the Naruto series, which is change in chakra form. When you add a change in chakra form to an attack, it multiplies the level of power, and when you combine change in chakra nature and change in chakra form simultaneously, you bring up the attack power exponentially. And so I like that what they did is they showed us that, hey, this is what Boruto's Rasengan can do. It puts a small dent into the boulder that's nearby, whereas Kakashi's Rasengan puts an even bigger dent into it, and Kakashi says, like, look, you're gonna have to add these two things to it. And so what I like about this right here is they throw in that line, and it gives us the opportunity to finally see just how much more damage Boruto's gonna be able to do once he uses this attack. Now, me as an OG fan, I understand that, but I like the fact that they're acknowledging we have a lot of new fans to the series, a lot of fans just picked up the Naruto franchise and started with Boruto, so you have to break this stuff down for them. So I like that you actually see something right there to where now you can do a comparison and contrast. You can get an idea of how much Boruto's actually training. Now, with that being said though, I've already seen some comments, people saying, man, Boruto added a wind changing chakra nature too fast. Naruto had to do it for a really long time. Actually, I mean, Naruto did it over the span of a few days, but he was also using shadow clones, so that fits into your argument, absolutely. But this is the thing, Naruto, unlike Boruto, Naruto did not have a huge grasp on the fundamentals, and with Naruto, that's part of the reason why Naruto needed to use so many shadow clones, like Kakashi stated in the Naruto manga, which I'm kind of regurgitating some information that I'm gonna talk about in a future video this week. But changing chakra nature typically takes a shinobi years in order to accomplish, but with somebody like Naruto, who wasn't overly talented, he was unpredictable like Kakashi said in this episode, but he wasn't overly talented. Something like cutting a tree leaf usually takes a shinobi half a year at a minimum to learn how to master. And so when you look at Naruto and he uses shadow clones to break up the work and break up the actual experience, Naruto was able to do half a year's worth of work in just under a day. So the reason why this is important with Boruto is we've already seen that Boruto is a rare type of a prodigy. Just like how Sasuke only needed a few days to add a second chakra nature to his arsenal, lightning release. No, somebody's like, oh my god, well, Sasuke trained for a month. No, Sasuke, according to Kakashi in the Naruto manga, only need a few days to add a lightning changing chakra nature to his attack. Now, taking lightning changing chakra nature and turning that into Chidori, that's part of what took Sasuke a month to figure out, but the actual lightning changing chakra nature was only a few days. And so with Boruto training with Kakashi over what looks like the span of a couple of days, I think that that's fine. Part of what I enjoyed about Kakashi's training with Boruto is we're getting an opportunity to see what it would have been like for a young Minato to train. And even Kakashi says it, without a doubt, this boy has inherited the fourth Hokage's genius and Naruto's unpredictability. And that is extremely dangerous right there. That is extremely dangerous because we've already seen what Boruto can do and he's just playing around to add different chakra natures to his arsenal. We've already seen it. Like the whole reason why he wanted to learn a wind changing chakra natures because he saw Mitsuki use it and he says, oh, that's pretty cool. I would like to attempt to use something like that too. And that's why you see him outside of the Hokage's office and he's fiddling and playing around using, or I believe it was Iruka's office, fiddling and playing around with using a wind changing chakra nature after the fact because that was just a curiosity that he had. So I thought that that was interesting that you had that moment right there. Now, another thing that I will say is that I like how when Kakashi sees Boruto struggling to use the incorporation of wind changing chakra nature, you have this moment where Boruto slowly starts to figure it out because of the tips that Kakashi gives him about splitting the work in two and finding something into himself. So just like his father, Boruto needed to use a shadow clone to break up the work. So that in itself is kind of interesting, but we've already seen that that's something that Boruto is going to eventually get around to doing because when he used the Boruto stream, he has to break that up. He can't self-propel himself without a shadow clone. So I thought that that was kind of interesting that, you know, they're kind of showing that even though Boruto's doing this now, when you go back to the earlier parts of the series, that's actually something that Boruto's been doing for a while. So I thought that that was cool. Now I also liked, and this made me really pop, the fact that Sasuke broke down exactly why somebody without the Sharingan and without a advanced Sharingan cannot use the Chidori. That is something that at least once a week I get a comment of people saying, man, I would like this character to learn the Chidori, and I keep saying it's impossible. Sasuke shows it to you. He breaks it down. This is what a lot of people want to see. A lot of people want to see these characters be introduced to weaknesses and train to overcome them. So I think they're making a good decision here because this training arc is going to last roughly 3 episodes based on the spoilers that we have, which I didn't cover the spoilers this month because I haven't had time, but it's going to be roughly roughly 3 episodes. So I thought that that was interesting right there, that we see that bit of a breakdown. Now, the other thing that I also find very fascinating about this episode is that, you know, Victor is just trolling at this point, and the anime is doing a good job of fleshing out 3 characters. So they're giving a really good personality to the character of Deepa, somebody that has definitely gotten over with a lot of fans. I have a really big Deepa video coming later this week. But the other thing is that they're adding layers and fleshing out the personalities of Mugino and Victor, 2 people who in the Boruto manga they were vanilla bland, but because of this car actuation arc, we're actually getting to see the fact that these characters have layers to their personalities, and they're actually quite enjoyable. So the fact that, you know, Victor's like, oh, it's so fun to have Leaf Shinobi here, and I'm so flattered that you guys want to actually see what we do in our little bitty eeny teeny tiny winksy facility. And then as soon as they leave, he says, man, those Konoha dogs, I can't believe they thought they'd come in here and rob me blind. Like, I love that right there, man. Like, Konohamaru and Mugino, they came in there trying to hit a lick, man. And so for those of you guys who don't know what hitting a lick means, you know, Konohamaru and Mugino, they thought they could come in there and they thought that they could, you know, pull the wool over Victor's eyes and essentially steal the Hashirama cell from him. You know, overall, I mean, this was a cool episode, man. This was a cool episode. I just want to close out by saying 2 things. Obviously, the chapter question, and then the other thing I want to close out with is I've seen a lot of people say, oh man, Boruto's adding chakra natures too fast. You know, chakra natures, you know, nobody really acquires them. If you go back to the Naruto manga, in the Naruto manga, it's stated more than once that there are changing chakra nature drills that shinobi can undergo. Typically, that's only for Jonin, but those drills do exist. So that's, you know, one thing I want to get out the way. And the other thing, I've gotten some questions on Twitter, and I'll do a whole video breaking this down, but this is called the car actuation arc, but this is not taking place directly before the Owl arc. We're still in the Mugino Bandits portion of the timeline. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and get into the chapter question. So my chapter question to you guys is, do you think that adding a wind chakra nature to Boruto's Rasengan is the best choice? Or do you think they should have taken the time to train Boruto to add another change in chakra nature, then apply it to the Rasengan? Let me know down in the comment section below. And I'm gonna say right now, I do think that wind release was probably the best idea, given the fact that wind release is, if I'm not mistaken, that's the deadliest of all the change in chakra natures that we have. That's one of those chakra natures that is extremely rare for somebody to be naturally born with wind release, but the attack destruction with wind release is exponential. So adding it to a Rasengan that combines change in chakra form, and you add in that change in chakra nature to it, I think that that's gonna be a very interesting take on the jutsu. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Have an awesome day, guys.